Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder. And this week, we've been bombarded with the same loaded question. Is it okay to plant? Is it okay to plant? We'll let you know during our first segment. Azaleas and rhododendrons are starting to crack color. And in our second segment, we're going to discuss these landscape favorites. Urban and suburban deer have become one of the largest pests in the home garden and landscape. In our third segment, we're going to discuss how to combat them. In our fourth segment, we're going to talk about why birds are your garden's best friend. In our fifth segment, we're going to wrap up with what's bugging you. Ants. Ants, get out there. We'll be back in the garden right after these messages.
Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is, Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So, the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, is it okay to plant? Is it okay to plant? We're getting that all the time. So many people are asking, plant what? Okay. On the radio, for radio purposes, we're going to talk about, first of all, trees, shrubs, perennials, as long as that they are acclimated to the weather. And what does that mean? That means that the growers have perennials that are being grown outside without heat, and that they may be covered with plastic still, and that's okay, but because they're still going to get nighttime temperatures that are going to be cold. So they're pretty much all right, but anything with, you've got wind and you've got some temperatures that are going below freezing, it may be a good idea to cover some of the ones that aren't so tough. And when we're talking about some of the, I guess like right now, catmint will be available, and there'll be different type of sages and things. I just don't want to see us get a cold snap, because May 15th is the frost-free date. That means that we will not have a frost or freeze below, below those cold temperatures after May 15th. Before, You're playing chicken with the weather. Now, some of those plants can take a frost, but they can't take a freeze. Now, frost can happen even when the temperatures are in the 30s, but it doesn't have to be 32 to get a frost. So, what about vegetables? You want peppers? Forget it. You want tomatoes? Forget it. You can't plant them yet. But you can plant all the cole crops like cabbage and Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cauliflower, collards, all of those types of vegetables, spinach, lettuces, all of those can actually be planted now without any fear. And again, it is a good idea to ask how much, or how, I'm sorry, I was just at a box store yesterday, and Aaron, how much was it was like a 4-pack of lettuce that I see last night at one of the large box stores. Is your mic on? I don't know.
I don't know. Was it a 4-pack?
Yeah, a 4-pack. So 4 plants.
I would say you probably paid no more than $7-8 maybe.
Yeah, it was 5. And at Bloomers, they're 3.
Okay.
Your local garden center, folks, may be the best buy. Don't assume. And a single cabbage plant was 5. And we're like $2.19. Hey, go to your local garden center. Period. Again, how about trees and shrubs? No problem. Get out there. You have no issues. When you talk about bedding plants, there are some that are okay. Like, for instance, petunias, snapdragons, all can take a frost without too much worry. You may lose some of the flowers if we get cold wind, but those can all be done. Most bulbs can be put out now. And again, it goes down to like impatience, just like tomatoes, no. At begonias, just like peppers, no. Eggplant, no. And that there's going to be ones that are specific, but your local garden center will be able to tell you what is okay and what isn't. So any bulbs, they can be planted now. You're not. We're worried more about the soft bulbs when you plant them and you don't get them out in the fall. But now the soil temperatures are hitting that 50 degrees. They're not going to grow for a while, so they'll be all right to plant. And again, can you plant your flower pots and your combo pots with some things? Remember, your big selection of vegetables and flowering annuals is going to be closer to Mother's Day than it is right now. So just keep that in mind. And same thing with perennials. What do we always say? A perennial garden needs to be planted for a full year. So you're going to pick out some things now. In a couple of weeks, you go back to the garden center. You're going to pick out some things then, because you don't want, if you pick out all of your plants right now, they're only going to flower right now. You're not going to get the selection of perennials that you would 2 months from now, or a month from now, or 6 weeks from now. So like mountain pinks, you better go right now, because the mountain pinks, once they're done, no garden center is going to keep around creeping phlox when it's not in bloom, because it doesn't have that appeal that, let me buy it, it looks pretty. No, it looks like a weed in a pot once you get into June. So make sure you're picking those things up now so you get them when they look good, and you don't plant all your perennials at one time. It's throughout the season. Okay? If you've got questions you're thinking about planting something and you're not sure, call the hotline. That's 609-685-1880. We'll be right back right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks, Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Hey, azaleas and some rhododendrons are starting to crack color. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that we have a cross. It's between a rhododendron and azalea. It's actually a dwarf rhododendron, and it is called Blue Baron. Does not get real big, only gets to be a couple of feet tall, has a small, slender leaf. It looks similar to azalea, but it's still different enough that you can tell it's not an azalea. It's much fuller. If you look, it's got lots of buds on top, and it's just a great, great plant. Does not like wet feet. And that's with most of the varieties of whether it's a PJM or azalea. Moist but not wet, that's the magic. So if you've got clay soil, you make sure that you plant these using a lot of bumper crop. You have that organic matter. We talked about that on last week's show. So first of all, PJMs are a purple flower, and they have a variety called Olga that's a pink, and they are first to flower. Now, they've already probably are in full bloom right now. This Blue Baron is about to start cracking color any minute. And azaleas are next. Now, there are different types of azaleas. For instance, there's the gumbo azalea, which is a dwarf azalea. It doesn't get very tall at all, maybe 18 inches. That's it. So if you have low windows, a gumbo azalea underneath those windows would be perfect. Then there's the standard azaleas that you're all used to, and those could be Hino Crimson, Delaware Valley White, Pocanensis. There are all those varieties, and they come in red and pink, and there's even a variegated leafed variety called Silver Sword. I love azaleas. I find them stunning. They can grow in, now keep in mind, everybody asks, well, they're only for shade, right? No. All these things are grown in full sun. They don't shade an entire nursery that has 1,000 azalea plants in it. It just is watered on time. It's not something that's let to deal with drought and things like that. Again, it's like in your own yard, they would be mulched well, and you would make sure that they're getting the adequate moisture they need to survive. Azaleas also have deciduous azaleas. There's the deciduous azaleas that are different because they're usually yellow or they're orange, but they also have pinks and different colors. But again, they're real tall, slender. They can probably get to be about 6 to 8 feet tall, left on their own. It depends on the variety. But Klondike, for instance, Klondike Gold, right? Get it, yellow. And then again, there are the orange varieties, which are both very popular because again, those are colors that aren't necessarily available in many, many plants that have a good foliage. Now, they will drop their leaves in the fall, and that they look kind of bare because they're going to have flowers before they get their leaves. So keep that in mind, that it's not something where it's going to be like a regular standard azalea where it's an evergreen. Now, what about rhododendrons? Rhododendrons are, now, let you know, most azaleas are types of rhododendrons. Don't let that confuse you. When you think of rhododendrons, you think of those bigger leafed plants, like, for instance, the standard, let's see, there's Roseum elegans is a variety of standard rhododendron. There's Nova Zembla, which is a red flowering standard type of chinoides, is a white standard rhododendron. They have that bigger leaf. And then there's the dwarf varieties, like, for instance, the barren, the blue barren that we have in here, that would be considered a dwarf. And that there's a Ramapo variety, which is considered dwarf. That's like has a real purple, nice purple flower, similar in shade to the PJM. And then there's the yak varieties, like Yaku Prince, Yaku Princess. And they have unique colors where they're yellow and they have like maybe a little blush of pink inside the throat. Beautiful plants, and that they could be anywhere from 2 foot to 4 foot in height. But there's one thing that rhododendrons and azaleas get some insects, not bad, but one of the things is lacebug. And lacebug is easy to control, but it's hard to see. If you consider, like, you know, a printer's like where it used to be tiny dots of ink on a page. Lacebugs look the same way. They are tiny dots of white where they suck out the juices from the leaf of an azalea or dwarf rhododendron or what have you. They are a menace, and it's because you don't see them. And a lot of folks will say, I feed them, and they never go, and they never quite look green. And it's because there's all those tiny little dots, and when you get up close to the leaf, you see that it's dots that are taken out, not yellow. And it's because they have lacebug. To control lacebug, you want to use a systemic insect control. Again, it works best. You're going to want to apply it 3 applications about 7 to 10 days apart. And again, we have one here by Bonide. But again, you're looking for that systemic action because it will last longer and it will make the plant poisonous to the lacebug and will control it. So that's one thing you want to make sure that you take care of. And I would do all of your shrubs. If you're doing one, you might as well do them all. And then that way you're controlling other types of insects. Like, for instance, this will control aphids and armyworms and bagworms and black vine weevil. But that's also in rhododendrons, by the way, that they get something called a taxus weevil. And what happens, it takes notches out of the leaf. So if you have one of those big rhododendrons and you have notches that are taken out of the leaf, you never see an insect on it. Here's something you don't even consider. They go and they feed at night, not during the day. So you get your flashlight out. Maybe you're going to spot one. But that's something you need to do, systemic insect control. That's what you want to use. Phytophthora. Phytophthora is root rot in azaleas and rhododendrons. And it can kill plants pretty easily. There was only one One type of disease control that I know of that will work, that's available to the consumer, and that's called Revitalize, and that's from Bonine, and that will help control it. But it basically is caused from being too wet. So the roots begin to rot, and it gets the disease in it, and then you're going to have a problem. Again, moist, not wet. So again, if you've got your sprinklers on your lawn and they're spraying on your azaleas and rhododendrons all the time, that's not a good thing. So you want to control that sprinkler head a little bit better and get it adjusted. Fertilizer, most important. You want to use Hollytone from Espoma in the spring, right about now, and in the fall, twice a year. We're not asking much because you could do it every 8 weeks. But if you just do it in the spring and in the fall, and I am going to ask you to use a water-soluble fertilizer, say once a month, and that's the kind that where it turns the water blue. So what you do is you're going to use it, and they have different types of sprayers that you can use, or you can mix it into a watering can and that you put a couple of teaspoons in. But you want to make sure that you're using the type of water-soluble fertilizer that is an acid for acid-loving plants, because that's what azaleas and rhododendrons are. They are acid-loving plants. If you've got questions about azaleas and rhododendrons, and look, people say, oh, no, I want perennial garden. Put some rhododendron and azaleas in with your perennial garden because they're evergreen and they look great and they give you some depth and a different texture to your perennial garden. They have a place everywhere, whether it's a landscape, the perennial garden. They are fantastic plants, and with the Encore series of azaleas, they will repeat bloom. Now, nothing's going to be as spectacular as that initial bloom. And before we end the segment, you see all these buds that are on top of this blue barren rhododendron? Whether it's an azalea, do not prune your azaleas or rhododendrons in the fall. Right after they bloom, that's your chance. Right after they bloom, that's your chance. Otherwise, you're cutting off all these flower buds. So if you go to go and trim them in the fall, say goodbye. We get it every year. And ladies, you blame your husbands every time. He went out there and he cut everything back and he cut all my flowers off of my azaleas. Yeah, he did. But there's a lot of landscapers that do that too. So keep in mind, no pruning in the fall, only right after their first bloom. Then you do it. So we're talking, it could be azaleas. It could be as early as June. Rhododendrons, it could be usually beginning of July. Right after their last flower drops, there you go. That's when you go and do it. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. We are proud to announce that Bloomers in the Garden has partnered with Renewal by Andersen of Greater Philadelphia, Delaware, South Jersey, and Southern Maryland. Renewal by Andersen is the top window and door company in the United States, specializing in replacement windows and doors. You might be thinking right now, what the heck do windows have to do with gardening? Well, Renewal by Andersen makes this beautiful garden bay window that's energy efficient and made from recycled materials. It's perfect for growing the finest indoor plants possible. When you are looking out your windows filled with plants in your beautiful garden, you don't want to see old windows that are cloudy, warped, or even rotting. That's why people in the horticulture community love Renewal by Andersen. Not only do we want our gardens to be beautiful, but their homes as well. Renewal by Andersen participates in horticultural events such as flower shows, earth days, and eco fairs. To get more information and set up a free home consultation, please visit www.philadelphiawindow.com and be sure to tell them Bloomers in the Garden sent you.
Is she gone?
Nope, she's still standing there.
What is she doing?
I think she's watching the grass grow.
That's our job.
I know, right? She's watching the grass grow, the flowers grow. Ooh, look, the trees are growing.
Can't say as I blame her. Remember where she bought all this stuff?
Duh, bought us there too.
Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Find us online at bloomers.com.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, I never had deer. I lived in my house for 20-something years. I never saw a deer. Customers would talk about it. It's like, oh, I've got deer. And I'm like, come on, you don't have deer. We live in the same town. Guess what? Last year, Aaron, you remember my deer? Came strutting out of the side of the. I guess it's like really a 55 and older development. Like it was looking for Bambi. You know, it was like, it was enormous. It was enormous. You know, I've had big dog, like, you know, a lab and, you know, they're a nice sized dog. I would have been afraid to let the dog out because this deer would have killed it. And that's now I have a zoo. And I walked up, this is 2 weeks ago. I walked up to there was 3 deer in my yard. And I was like, all right, how close are they going to, you know, let me get to them? So I'm walking up to them, and they're not moving. I'm like, I'm outnumbered. So anyway, deer are a big problem. And that they're in urban areas too. Where they're not in suburbia or out on the farm, which they're there too. But it has gotten ridiculous. So you have to do something about the deer. I mean, any of you planted a emerald green arborvitae thinking that you're going to have a nice block so your neighbor doesn't see your house, and now all of a sudden they're poodled to where they've got a little top to them and the rest of them from where they can reach, the deer can reach, I think that's all stripped and there's no foliage. Do you have taxus? Oh my gosh. I mean, the taxus, I have a dwarf taxus by my pond, and I go and look at it, and every time I see it, you know, it's been hacked down again. It grows for about 2 weeks, and it flushes out a little more growth, and then all of a sudden, it's a snack for the herd of deer that I've now adopted. It's ridiculous. Now, I'll tell you what, a fence, if people say, oh, I'm going to put a fence, I'm going to put a fence up. Well, guess what? An 8-foot fence is minimum because deer are able to jump, okay? We have nurseries that are production nurseries, and obviously they don't want deer going and feeding because it'll be the hangout for those hoodlum deer, those no good youngins. Anyway, so they go and they'll fence in the entire property. I've seen where people think, oh, well, what I'll do is they come through this side, so I'll fence my right-hand side of the property. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. They go around. And again, you need to fence the entire section. Is it realistic? Not really. If you're willing to do it and you're okay with it and you're okay to have a giant fence around your property that isn't that attractive, go for it. Go for it. Repellents do work, but they don't work once. Because if you are modifying an animal's behavior, anybody who's tried to teach a puppy to go outside, you know that it doesn't work just once. Okay, you have to keep reinforcing the behavior and finally modify that behavior. And it's the same thing with deer. If you put deer repellent down once, it may be an irritant for a couple of weeks, but they'll be back. You have to continually put it down so they associate your yard with that smell that they don't like, And it's not so much that it stinks. It's that it creates the flight response within a deer that said, hey, nope, we ain't going here. We're leaving. And it's got things in it. It's all natural. It doesn't harm them at all. So it's whole egg solids, it's white pepper and cloves. So basically all organic. And then we have if you're looking on YouTube, that's what's in this container that I'm tapping right here. You can see it. It's bonide. It's called Go Away Deer and Rabbit Repellent. And most repellents work for other animals too. So again, we always bring this up, and that I saw a little video of Dr. Alan Armitage was showing his garden, and as he's going through his perennial garden, he bends down and picks up this unlabeled bottle that was, I think a marker was written on it, deer repellent, and he just left it in the garden, which I thought was genius. Because every time you go out in your yard, you think, oh, darn it, I got to go back into the shed or go back to the garage and start spraying that deer repellent. So sometimes leave it, like if you're got a perennial garden, you're trying to protect your hosta or you're trying to protect other plants, just leave it there, pick it up, squirt it around, and because that's all you're doing. It's not like you're controlling insects. You're just giving the deer a snort of this stuff so that it makes them want to leave. So again, it's definitely effective, but you've got to use it over and over. It's not one and done. So think of doing it for at least a season. You're going to do it for maybe a couple of months. Again, deer have an incredible sense of smell, and it's 1,000 times more sensitive than humans. So it works against them. So again, there are other types that, for instance, the Repelzol, that has in it, let's see, that also will work, and it works against a number of different animals. So that's a liquid. There's granules. Do it. Just do it, but make sure you reapply. So you've had to deal with deer. What do you plant? Rutgers University has an excellent publication that you can get online. If you do a search and just do Rutgers landscape plants by deer resistance. So you can do Rutgers deer resistant plants. You'll get it. And it's a list of all types of different plants. So a list of annuals. It'll be perennials. It'll be shrubs. And it will list it by deer resistance. So it's rating, like, for instance, an A is rarely damaged. A B is seldom severely damaged. C is occasionally severely damaged. And a D is frequently damaged. So if you have deer already, here are some plants you should not plant. Hostas. It's candy. It's candy for deer. Taxus rhododendrons. Okay, so Taxus rhododendrons, it's a delicacy for deer. And what you want to do, there are plants that you can sub out. Like, for instance, Cephalotaxus is a type of plant that looks like a taxus, but is resistant to deer. Emerald green arborvitae. Yum, yum. But don't use emerald green arborvitae. Use green giant arborvitaes. Deer don't like it. Deer don't eat those. It's not going to be like if you had a plant side by side, they're going right to that emerald green arborvitae, and they'll leave that other variety alone. So again, and we like, by the way, American pillar is a type of green giant arborvitae. Excellent plant, doesn't get real wide like the standard variety of green giant. So again, green giant arborvitae are great. I also, those of you that are thinking Leyland cypress, I hate Leyland cypress. In our listening area, I just, yes, you can get it to grow, but sometimes it's hard to get established. Not a fan. And those with complaints can call the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. We'll entertain what you have to say. So other types of things, again, I don't think things like cherry trees, sunflowers they'll eat. They'll eat sunflowers for sure. Shasta daisies, maybe, but not if you have hostas eat. They'll eat the hostas first. Persian lilac, that's on this list, and that's rated as a C, which is, again, a C is occasionally severely damaged. I've never seen any damage for that. Again, there are a lot of substitutes. For instance, if you want to have this type of plant, right, and it's on that list where it's severely damaged by deer, there's going to be an alternative that isn't. So don't lose heart. You can absolutely plant things. So don't get overly concerned. But make sure you're reapplying that deer repellent over and over and over, because you're modifying the behavior, not you're trying to stink up their nostrils with this stuff and that's what's making it work. You're making them so that they identify your home, your yard, your garden with that smell so they avoid it completely and go to your neighbors. If you've got a question about deer, call the hotline, 609-685-1880. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best looking plants in the neighborhood.
If you're looking for a specific potting soil for your house plants rather than just a generic professional potting soil that sometimes, let's just say, it can be a little soggy, the Cape Netic Blend Organic and Natural Indoor Houseplant Mix from Coast of Maine is what you're looking for. It's specially formulated for indoor houseplants and flowers using a coarse coconut core, that's important, perlite and aged bark to optimize drainage and aeration for robust root development. The coconut core is what true gardeners and professionals are looking to replace some of the peat moss that are in most potting soil blends. It adds a little more air around the root system without having it dry out. The peat sometimes gets a little wet. Do you have any fungus gnats flying around? That happens too. So if you've got the coconut core in your mix, it's something that's going to be better certainly for indoor houseplants. So whether you're growing peace lilies, spider plants, philodendrons, monsteras, or other popular or exotic houseplants, this unique compost-free blend provides the optimum structure and benefits for nurturing strong, beautiful indoor plants. And again, that's the Cape Netic Blend Indoor Houseplant Mix by Coast of Maine. Look for it at your local garden center. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So you're looking for a little help around your garden with the insect control without having to spray anything? Well, put up a birdhouse. Birds, bats. You want to hear? I mean, bats are kind of creepy. Everybody thinks of horror movies when they think of bats, but listen to this. First of all, at night when mosquitoes are out, that bats can eat 1,000 mosquitoes in an hour. And it's amazing. I mean, they will go, you watch them, they do amazing things. And a lot of times they're around light posts where a lot of insects gather, and that you'll see the bats that are just like scooping them up. And it's each bat. Now, let's see. A bat's stomach or belly is no larger than your thumb, okay? And that it can eat, like, say, 2 grapes size, like, you know what a grape looks like. You take 2 grapes, and that it can eat that much per night. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but there are millions of bats in the Northeast. And again, it is the amount of mosquitoes that they get rid of each year is amazing. I mean, bats are an amazing animal for and they are, remember, they're a mammal, that they have an echolocation system, and most people know that or have heard about that, but they are a major, basically, vacuum to get rid of mosquitoes at night. So when you see bats flying around, don't get weird. My sisters used to say, they get caught in your hair. No, they don't. Again, it's something that they're doing to naturally, that it's their natural predator for those insects, and they're going to clean up and they're going to help you when you go outside and you're not all bit up by mosquitoes if you have a lot of bats. So what other birds? Bluebirds. Put up a bluebird house. They have a great song. They're beautiful birds, and that they'll catch grasshoppers, and they'll do all types of eating snails and sow bugs. Those are the ones that when you touch, they curl up into a little ball. That's what they eat. Chickadee is my favorite bird. And why is chickadee my favorite bird? Because at my feeder, they're the polite bird. Well, they'll go and they'll take one seed. Okay, so they'll go and they'll take a sunflower seed, and they'll go to the tree and they'll eat that one seed, and then they'll come back for one more seed. It's amazing. With every time, like I expect them to be sitting there like swallows or sparrows rather, where they're just pigging out and hogging the feeder, but they just come in, take it, and leave. Now chickadees, they're extremely useful. And they don't migrate. They just continually eat insects year round, and they provide control of insects like aphids. Having problems with aphids? Caterpillars, leaf hoppers, moths, beetles. That's like the top of all of the food chain for our plants. So chickadees are great. Now they're also, you can buy chickadee houses, but put a bird feeder on the edge of your property or near your property. We worry about birds hurting our, tapping into our corn or something. Those are bigger birds. There's not going to be small birds like this. So again, in the wintertime, even chickadees, they'll look in the crevices of trees and look for insect eggs and hibernating adults. So they prevent them from breeding in the spring. Chickadees, gotta love them. Swallows. And purple martins, they're amazing to watch. They have, they just are acrobats in the sky. And if you ever go out to Lancaster County and you're driving along and you see an Amish house that has these gourds that are hanging, those are the houses for purple martins. And they have them there specifically because it helps them get rid of the insects that are in their gardens. And again, they're going to eat winged ants, moths, grasshoppers, flies, like that. So again, it's an entirely, and you wonder why. Well, how come I don't get them at my feeders? Well, they don't eat seed. They only eat, so they're carnivores. They're only going to eat the actual insects. So again, it's a great thing to do. Again, moths, gnats, flies, mosquitoes, and everything is caught pretty much in midair. So, it's a great teaching moment for kids and grandkids. So again, consider putting up a gourd for a house for purple martins. Wrens, their appetite for insects is overwhelming. They eat everything from boll weevils to stink bugs to caterpillars and millipedes. And they're renowned for their pest control abilities. And they raise two. It's because they raise two broods. So it's not just they raise one lay eggs right in one family. No, they actually raise two. So in the chicks during the warmer months, they're requiring a lot of food for those little mouths, and the adults keep their energy up, so they've got to eat a lot of insects, so they're doing their job. Cardinals, too, they're another species that raise two sets of young. So again, they're going to eat beetles and grasshoppers and caterpillars. Golden finch, I think it's New Jersey's bird, by the way. One of the most abundant birds in North America, particularly adapted to catching insects. The adults train their offspring to catch insects in their adolescence when their digestive systems are unable to process seeds. So, for instance, they're too young to go and eat seeds, so they have to eat live insects. So if you have an overabundance of beetles eating your vegetables, think about it, right? Japanese beetles, potato beetles. Ugh, I hate potato beetles. And the finches will eat cucumber beetles. Cucumber beetles are a pain because they spread disease. It's not so much that the beetles do the damage. They're spreading disease and spread mosaic into your cucumbers. So go get them. Caterpillars and leaf miners. So again, put a bird feeder up, put a bird house up, put a purple martin house up. You want to attract these birds so they go and they get into your garden. If you have a community garden or you have are involved in a community type garden, see if you can get your association to basically put up a purple martin house so that they can get the benefit of these birds. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with their #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit Espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. So, those tiny ants seem to be appearing out of nowhere, usually in the kitchen or food areas where food's served or prepped. Grease ants are a light brown color, and sugar ants are dark brown. I have sugar ants, and they drive me crazy. I'm still early. I have seen some scouts around, and my gosh, last year they were awful. They were awful. And like if you see one ant in the kitchen, killing that ant is not the solution. That's a scout. It's saying, hey, look what I found right next to the pantry, under the toaster oven. They're looking for food, and they're looking for food for a colony that may be anywhere. It could be in the basement. It could be outside. It could be in your wall, in wet wood especially. Where there's one ant, there's the colony. Because again, it's leaving that behind. It leaves a pheromone trail that the other ants follow. So again, it's time. It's time. So the whole idea is to wipe out the colony. Killing the one ant does nothing. Traps work best. And right here is the best thing. We have Taro liquid ant bait. And we've talked about this before. And what you need to do is to put it out. But if you look on here, are you able to get this? It's that's the ant bait. I'll turn around. It's a clear liquid, and it's borax. What's in here? And so this liquid, you have to cut open the ends. You have to cut open the ends. I've had people where they've taken these out and they've opened them up and they just throw them out thinking that they're already open. No, you have to cut the opening up here so they have access. They have access to the liquid. It's safe. It's safe for your animals. It's safe. It's not anything it's not poison. It's not poison. So you're not spraying a chemical around that's poisonous. So just keep that in mind. It's the most important thing. All right, let me back. Why? Because the ants they think they found a tasty treat. But what they did is that these will go back, they'll take it back to the hive and they'll transfer it to each other ant and feed the other ants. And it actually messes up with their digestive system and it wipes out the whole colony. And they'll go back for more. It's like, oh, wow, that was so good. I'm going to get some more. And they do. And so what they're doing is they're going back and forth and going back and forth. Now, again, pantries, you're going to want to put them on the countertops. You're going to want to put them wherever you have, wherever you're spilling a little bit of sugar, like behind maybe the little canisters where you keep your sugar. You want to make sure that you're putting these out there in more than one spot. It's not going to be one and done, okay? Not going to be one and done. And the ant traps work the best. If you would like to use a spray, we have often talked about BioAdvanced Complete Insect Killer. Aaron has attested to its use. I have. It lasts for a very long time. It works as a perimeter treatment and it also is it's fast acting. And you put it on like your doorways. Like, so again, there are people that are afraid of crickets. I don't know. Anybody in your house afraid of crickets?
My daughter.
Your daughter's afraid of crickets?
Yeah. I mean, she said it looks like an alien, a tiny alien.
Really? Oh.
Like Predator.
Oh, nobody watches Pinocchio anymore. Jimmy the Cricket. No. Anyway, so that will control crickets in your garage, and you put it as you can put it along the baseboard of your house, and you can put it along the windowsill. It is a really, really good product. I can't say more about it because, again, we've all used it and have had great success. And that is BioAdvance Complete Insect Killer. And it can last up to 12 months. Now, I'd have to test that. But again, I think that putting it out and spraying it when you've got an insect issue is absolutely going to work. And I had this issue with flies, and that when the flies would land on the windowsill, all of a sudden they were dying. And I remembered it's 3 or 4 months ago, I sprayed the Complete Insect Killer, and it was working on the flies. It was a beautiful thing. But nothing is going to do more to control the ants than when you put out the liquid ant bait. And again, it is one of those things simple to do. It sounds too easy, but again, it is absolutely the best way to control things. Also, you want to do a granular perimeter treatment around your home. Okay, there's all different types of ant granular treatments. Just make sure we prefer anything that has a thrin in it. So the active ingredient, the last few things are a thing, deltamethrin, cyfluthrin. Again, that you're going to want to use that. So, got any questions? Call that hotline, 609-685-1880. We'll see you in the garden. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. We are overtime, so we're going to see you next week at the same time right here in the garden. See you in the garden.